bring in Dr. Luis Gomez Romero, who is a senior lecturer in human rights, constitutional law and legal theory. He joins me now from Wollongong in Australia. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Romero. Obrador appears to be the front runner in the polls. Do you think it's going to be third time lucky for him? And if so, why?
Well, according to the latest polls, he has the support of around 49% of the people who were surveyed. And in the last elections, at least in the last 3 or 4 elections in Mexico, he has an advantage of around 2-1 to his closest opponent, that is Ricardo Anaya. Just statistically, the deviation of these polls almost assure him as the victor in this election.
What do you think it is about Obrador that appeals to voters?
Well, he has. He's a very savvy politician, a professional politician, and he has the ability, or has had the ability, to just channel the anger of the Mexican public, of the Mexican people, with the current government. President Peña Nieto's administration has been one of the most corrupt in the history of contemporary history of Mexico. There are currently around 14 governors. Mexico is a federal system divided in states, so 14 governors, that's almost half of the states that had their governors indicted or investigated for corruption. And this has happened under Peña Nieto's watch. And the violence has soared. Just last year, there were 29,000 murders in Mexico because of the war on drugs. So both corruption and violence have fed up the Mexican public, and now they have a chance to express their discontent towards the current government.
You have practiced law in Mexico, so you must have an idea of the corruption, I guess, that's being fought there. How big of an issue is that for voters? You did mention it just there, but give us your insider's view on how big of an issue this is for the country.
It is indeed a big issue. Just when the PRI, the party that is currently in government, came back to office in 2012, the PRI was a party that was in office for 70 years in Mexico. Then there was a brief period, 2 terms that transpired under the government of the Conservative National Action Party. And then in 2012, the PRI came back to government. When the PRI came back to government, there was an expectation that the violence that began in 2006, when President Calderon launched the war against drugs, will be controlled. And this didn't happen. And not only this, but the PRI returned to government with the old ideas about corruption and thinking about just public money as some sort of personal gain. What they didn't expect was that they were going to meet a civil society that is much more active, very vigilant, and this is why it seems that Mexico has become a more corrupt country, and yet all the indictments against the governors and different politicians and public officials are evidencing a civil society that is very active and very vigilant.
Thank you for that. Always good to get your analysis. That is Dr. Luis Gomez Romero.